the left-wing created narratives that the movement's in a civil war, everybody's at each other's throats. That's just all bullshit. That's leftist fairy tale thing. That's the leftist versions of Aesop's fables. That's not what's happening right now. What's happening is no different than what happens every 4 years during a presidential election. Various candidates within the Republican Party go at each other, we come out, we coalesce, we win an election. That's just the way it's always worked. I've been through this before, so have you. Do you remember how hostile the DeSantis-Trump primary was? Do you remember how hostile the Trump initial 2016 primary was? I mean, this is nothing new. You got to police up your movement sometimes. It's no big deal. Do it with a smile. The truth matters. The process matters. Folks, why we are such a glorious republic and why we're so different than anyone else. We just are. We are the richest country in the history of sentient beings anywhere in the known cosmos. That's a fact. And you live here right now in the freest place, despite all of our shortcomings, in the history of humankind. That's not only the freest, but is also the richest and is also the most powerful. There's nothing to complain about. When you fight for the place, we're going to do it with a smile, even if the place is a place within the place, which is our movement. We're different because of process. We don't allow star chambers. We don't allow in our court system to be hijacked by charlatans. We give even the worst perps, the worst perpetrators, the serial murderers, the rapists, the terrorists, we even give them process. Why? Because we are a society based in truth and reason and a process to get to truth. The left doesn't want that. The left respects only chaos. It is a tool for them because they understand in the cloud of leftist-induced chaos, whether through messaging or actual street chaos, human beings get lost and they just want sanity and stability back. They just want to get back to normal. They want a regression to the mean. And if the only source of that is some charismatic figure that comes out screaming how this new form of national socialism or whatever is going to take us back to normal, people will follow in times of great stress and chaos. What's made us great is this country has a process that avoids unending chaos and the destruction of the republic. Be wary, folks, of people telling you a story, not the story. People who make bold assertions devoid of evidence versus people who produce bevies of evidence and keep their assumptions in the system to let the process play out. There's a difference, man. There's a war on the objective truth going on. The left has done this for years. It's the whole basis of their war on men versus women. What's a woman thing? That is an objective truth. There's a difference between men and women. When you get into this critical theory stuff and the leftists with there's no objective truth, it's just a white male patriarchy and knowledge is just a construct of power. They have the power and they're lying to us, trust nothing. That's what they want. They want chaos. Trust nothing, trust nothing, trust nothing. You see people sneaking in our tent trying this same trick now. Trust nothing. Trust no one. It's all chaos. Everyone's lying to you. Even people you've trusted forever who've been with you through all the fights, don't trust them either. But trust me because I have this hidden knowledge. Folks, the people who have this hidden knowledge, by the way, they always tell you a story, not the story. And if you notice the hallmark of all their stories, they're fascinating. And I don't mean that in a qualitatively good way. They're fascinating. They're endless pseudo connections of disparate facts. A Lego here, a Lego there. We showed you in that video. They never actually connect the Legos, but you do because they're charismatic delivery systems. Just because they tell you a fantastic story doesn't mean any of it's actually true. Folks, the process is what makes us different. The process is what makes us different. Once we invert the process and everyone is guilty until proven innocent, This is nothing more than a thugocracy. I've warned you about this many times. It's starting to seep in. I want to show you what I mean by this hidden knowledge grift. How, again, people like me and others who go and swear in are forced to produce court-ready material and facts. We're not here to produce bold opinions on the other side. You're there to produce bold facts. That's the way our process works to prevent innocent people from being targeted by a weaponized government. Not like that's happened before, using Legos that never connect. They always claim, however, to have this hidden knowledge that they never actually get to. They never actually tell you what it is. And people keep falling for it. Hat tip, is this a Milk Bar TV? I want to show you what I mean. I don't want to get overly over the top on anything about one person, really. I've had enough of the whole thing. But take a look at this compilation from Milk Bar TV here of Candace Owens on the Charlie Kirk investigation, whereas we had to produce facts. Her producing tomorrow's episode? Check this out.
Close to something, keep going, and we are definitively getting closer to what took place on that day, and we are getting closer. I think we're close. We are definitively getting closer. We're getting close. We're getting low. Very close. We're inching ever closer. We are now, I believe, extremely close to solving this thing. As I get inch closer and closer to discovering the truth, I've got a feeling about that. We're close. We're getting closer to something, and that something is pretty big. I just sense that we're getting close. I sense that we are getting very close, and we are getting closer, getting very close to something. We're getting closer because we are getting close. We are definitely getting closer, very close. We are very close. We are close. We are dangerously close to something. We are dead close to something. And I think every day we are inching closer to who killed Charlie Kirk. You know, we're getting close. We're inching ever closer. We are inching closer, a little closer to solving the Charlie Kirk murder. And I'm getting very close. And we are getting very close. But I'm getting closer. I'm getting real close. My prayers are with you, Candace. You are close. We are close. And we're getting closer to the truth. We get closer. We are getting close.
Getting close. You see it? You see the hidden knowledge grift, how it works? They've got it. This is the, I might be aging myself, guys. This is the Charlie Brown football issue. He falls for it every time. The football's never going to be there to kick, Charlie. Now showing you how the left embraces this too. Again, folks, it'd be funny if it wasn't so sad. If it wasn't so sad, the tragedy around all of these the commentary class taking advantage of this widow and her children. But I want you to see side by side how information chaos, the lack of process, hidden knowledge, and the chaos that comes along with hidden knowledge. Because there's no truth. It's just a bunch of randomly thrown out Legos that I told you never connect. The hidden knowledge grift. How the left has implanted this bug on our side, air quotes, and is enjoying the destruction of this and will flip on a dime. As this, remember I called this the Ox's gourd effect? As long as the enemy of my enemy is my friend, they can use that, they will. People they've destroyed in the past. I hate this person. I can't stand Candace. They love them now because of the chaos seated within the tent. They're like, I couldn't have done this job better myself. This is fantastic. Here's Kank. You know Kank Ogre from the Young Turds? I had him on the show once. He was oddly calm that day. I don't know if he'd taken sedatives or what. He lost it on the Piers Morgan show recently. Kank has a quiet obsession with me. It's kind of weird. It's just a little strange, Kank. However, here's Kank and one of his co-hosts destroying Candace Owens. And then in another clip, when Candace was sowing chaos on our side, all of a sudden they're huge Candace Owens fans. It's almost like these people have no principles. Check this out.
No, I'm not going to denounce Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens. Yeah, I said it, Candace. You're the worst of the worst. You're a sellout. No, we don't have to denounce her at all, okay? You're scum of the earth. None of that money is worth it. None of it is worth it.
There is a concerted effort to make Candace Owens look like she's absolutely insane, but it looks like Candace Owens was onto something.
Candace Owens is not someone that anyone takes seriously, including people on the right.
The people accusing her of being crazy are the real insane people.
Candace Owens, who once argued that the problem with Hitler was his love for globalization and not the fact that he slaughtered 6 million Jewish people.
Don't come at me about denouncing Candace Owens until you denounce Jared Kushner.
People like Candace Owens lead pathetic lives because they're paid to sell their own identity out. None of the things that she says is true. I guess they get paid handsomely. I don't know how they sleep at night.
That's at Dan Burmay. But listen, thanks for the video. Folks, when you see those videos side by side, how can you not come to the conclusion that everyone else, I'm not talking to the Bongino army folks, you guys have forgotten it for a long time. This is all a scam. This is a left-wing virus inserted into a right-wing host trying to cause chaos and distrust amongst everybody in our own tent. So all it is this the Spider-Man meme that you see on X all the time. You did it, or it's Spider-Man pointing to Spider-Man. If you've been there, I'm sorry, I talk in memes a lot. I do spend a lot of time on some of these platforms doing show prep. This is all this is. It is so obvious. They want to create distrust. The best way to create distrust, there it is, thank you. For those of you who are not online chronically as much, I probably have more screen time than Haley. I'll have to compare that sometime. Well, I don't know. She says she's the queen of screen time. Folks, when you create distrust, even in people you have trusted in the past who've been there in the fights, and you have no reason to distrust, all of a sudden, people have to look for another place to put their loyalty or their faith and fidelity in some other cause. And that cause is conveniently led by people who are telling you, hey, either buy my merch here or subscribe to my show here. I want to show you what the hidden knowledge problem causes in people, how they fold under even a modicum of pressure. I've never met these guys, but I saw this morning. A friend of mine, one of my old producers, sent this over. This is a debate, a snippet of it. It's about a minute. It's not very long. Between Andrew Wilson and Zach Costello. I'm not going to say anything in advance. I just want you to think about this in terms of what chaos and hidden knowledge looks like when people actually ask you to produce said hidden knowledge and back up your claims. This is exactly what it looks like in a back and forth. This is Dan's favorite video of the day, talking about myself in the third person. Check this out.
He didn't necessarily give any evidence, but what he encouraged was the idea that, again, there are that the concerns that many of us have are in fact legitimate. If
Well, no, he didn't. That's a lie. Like, you're just lying. He didn't actually give any evidence which would show that your concerns are legitimate. That's literally not true. I don't even know why you would say that. It is actually factually not true that Joe Kent gave any evidence
that he expressed his own
hang on.
concerns.
Let me make the point.
Okay.
It is not in fact the case that Joe Kent validated any concerns of yours or Candace's or Ian Carroll's with evidence of any kind whatsoever. So where's the validation? That he just feels this way? That's the validation. I just feel that way? Is that the validation, dude?
No, he said in the interview with Mark Levin that there is evidence that he was not able to share because it was classified.
Oh, well, that's really convenient. But so no evidence then, again.
Why? I guess.
Oh, hang on. I just want to make sure I got this right. So you're saying no evidence, right? That's what you're actually saying?
No, I'm not saying.
Okay, so what's the evidence? What's the evidence that he
have
gave
access to? I'm saying what's no evidence that we have access to.
Then you don't have evidence.
Well, okay, neither do you. You don't have any evidence that.
Yeah, well, no, I do. I have the evidence that the state has released thus far.
Okay.
You have a counterclaim to the state. You have a burden of evidence now, too, to refute the state. You saying I don't have access to evidence that the state has access to is not an argument for your evidence.
Folks, process, innocent till proven guilty, due process. the government being forced to supersede some burden of proof before they come in and kick your freaking door in. The Democrats want the opposite. They've already done it by weaponizing the government, the guns and the badges against Donald Trump and the rest of us. We want to go back to that and shit on the process and throw it out the window and just say it's all about the freaking feels now. It's not about the feels. It's about saving everything that has made this country actually unique. There's nothing like us anywhere, precisely because the process is painful and tough. And it takes a long time. And there are hearings on top of hearings. And you've got to go through burden of proof exercises. You can't just get the feels about, so I don't like that guy. The Democrats had the feels about Donald Trump. Look what happened to him. He found himself in a bunch of mugshots for crimes that never happened with no victims. This isn't about the feels. It's about doing the right thing that has led us here to this point.
It's a data point.
Just never tells you what it is. I want you to watch this video, and I want to show you what I'm talking about here. Folks, Arthur Brooks does a lot of work on happiness and actual happiness. Why some people are happier than others. Some people are happy, some people are miserable. This is just a short segment, but he talks about voluntary suffering here. This is what we've agreed to collectively take on as a republic, to not do things easy for the government, where the government as a star chamber can pull people in, no process required, guilty, death by, you ever see the Batman movie with Scarecrow? We don't do that. We go through a long, painful process that requires work and a little bit of suffering to do this. Voluntary suffering is what makes us all better. Voluntarily going to the gym and working out. It builds resistance and resilience as a republic. I'm not going to let that all fall apart. Watch this clip and you'll see this is based in sociology and psychology. This is real stuff. Check this out.
If it's not of our own volition, it's like, you know, those old mouse studies where mice are subjected to exercise, and so they're made to run on a treadmill and their cortisol levels are unbelievably high and they die. And then they actually put the same wheels out in the field, and field mice just find the wheels and run on them, and they live longer. I've probably heard you talk about these studies, right?
I don't think I've talked about them, but I'm
the stress studies.
Stress studies.
Yeah, it's involuntary versus voluntary stress. Turn all stress into voluntary stress through non-resistance, and it'll make you stronger and better. If something bad is happening in your life, then bring it on. Bring it on. Just like the gym. You know, somebody rejected you, your beloved. I thought I was going to marry her. And turns out she loves somebody else. That's the gym. That's the emotional gym. Your dorsal anterior cingulate cortex is going crazy. And you're like, I invited that. I invite this. And that's your resistance actually falling, and your suffering will actually fall paradoxically, even while your pain is high. And that's where you will actually learn and grow and find your meaning.
I love that clip. It is so important that we all understand that this is a process every movement goes through. Do it with a smile. I see some people in the chat are like, hey, I don't want to talk about this. I understand. I get it. It's not the most pleasant topic to talk about, but it's a necessary one. This is the voluntary suffering we all have to go through to make sure our movement is strong over time, not just in the short term. I'm going to skip ahead to something in a second, that Philly protest segment, Justin, next. I'm going to take a quick break, but I want to show you why it's so important, what we're fighting. There was a protest in Philly, and I absolutely love exposing these people, especially when they say the quiet part right out loud. You don't have to do an advanced Freudian psychoanalytic ego, superego it approach. They just tell you. This is what I'm concerned about. Some of these same people are some of the same people, I believe, funding and producing this virus that's infiltrated the host on the right. Wait till you see this video. This is abhorrent, just absolutely disgusting. This is the stuff we're fighting. Hey, do you know that Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? They have all the plants your yard or home needs. I've used them multiple times around the office here too. They have fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, and house plants.
Hi, guys. Good morning. I hope that you're doing okay. So happy Friday. Is it Friday? I hope it's Friday because I didn't look the day today. So please like and subscribe. We watch
Whatever you're
show
looking for,
here
fast-growing
every
tree.
morning. Thank you. Let's see if he's done with commercial.
Use the code Dan at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com. Code Dan at checkout. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use Dan to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. They did a great job in my house. Check them out. Stuff's still going. So we've been through a lot. We've been through some hard weather down here in Florida. We had like a freeze for the first time, and they made it. The plants made the Florida. You believe that? Like a freeze, but nobody knew what to do. The iguanas falling from the trees. I'm finding iguanas everywhere. I think Lucy was busy eating them. She had a nice lizard lunch there. Folks, these are the people we're fighting. When they tell you who they are, just listen to them. They know they can't take us on in a head-to-head battle. They know that. We just showed it in the last election with the overwhelming victory by Donald Trump. Watch these people. Listen to this at the Philly protest. They're cheering for what? Did I hear this correctly? Check this out.
Until we have done everything in our power to bring the United States to its knees, let us not lose sight of the enemy. For every U.S. military base that crumbles, and for every U.S. soldier who returns home in a casket, we cheer. Hamas, Hezbollah, Ansarallah, all of the resistance forces we celebrate. These popular voices on the ground spend every waking moment in direct confrontation with Zionism, and they rely on a strong Iranian state to maintain their fighting capacity.
Do you hate America? May a Hamas rocket blow up your family's home.
They're so proud of themselves, these little dipshits, they won't uncover their faces. Yet they want ICE agents who are doing their patriotic duty and enforcing the law to uncover theirs so they can send death threats to their phone, to their homes and dox them and things like that. They are cheering soldiers coming home in caskets. Did I hear that correctly? You did. Hat tip I and on Patriot via X on that. These are some of the same people spreading the exact same message to the hidden knowledge grifter class. If they sound the same, a lot of it, that's because it is the anti-military talk. Now, the hidden knowledge grifters may not be talking about cheering soldiers coming home in a casket, but you see some of them like, don't sign up for the military. Trump, Hegseth, law, just the anti-military narrative. It's the exact same narrative. Look at this, just as creeped out from the Ayatollah, who is dead, like gone, like didn't obey the Dan Bongino show rule number 1, don't get dead. We got him dead real quick. There was a tweet that went out this morning. Did you see this thing? The hashtag is, who's controlling this thing at this point? I don't even know. But the tweet that went out obviously attacks us. And then there's a hashtag Epstein files at the end. There it is right there from the Khomeini Jr. account. Talking about the U.S. decline. Does it all make sense now? Folks, they want the United States to lose this war. That whole class, that symbiote, the doomer lib symbiote, they want the United States to lose this war. I'm telling you, they say it openly. Some of them play cute with the words and the euphemisms game, but they want us to lose this war. I got Graham Allen coming up in a little bit as a guest, the Graham Allen Show on Rumble. I know you love me. You always raise my show. We appreciate that. I'm going to talk to him about this too. This is not anymore a question of military superiority. We have defeated and destroyed the Iranian mullahs. They don't exist. They don't exist. The battle damage assessments are totally asymmetric. The battle damage is beyond significant on the Iranian side. What I'm getting at here is we already know that. The problem going forward is we are fighting a messaging machine that wants the death to America mullah class thugocracy, wants them to win. This is a narrative war now. The tactical component, we've already shown our superiority. Here was Pete Hegseth yesterday in the Oval Office during the, in the cabinet room. They had a cabinet meeting yesterday next to Donald Trump, talking about exactly this problem. Folks, this is a very real problem. It's a very real problem for the administration too, because they're putting a squeeze on them based on a story, not the story. I have no problem with you disagreeing with the war at all. That's your right to do it. It's your right to report on it in the press, but at least be candid about where we stand so Americans can make an informed output from correct inputs. Check this out.
Think about the media, though. If President Trump had not acted, you'd be screaming, why not? And now that he has taken decisive action, you're asking, well, why did you? It's the same old tired playbook, TDS in your DNA. But the hardworking, God-fearing, patriotic Americans out there know better. And you alluded to this, President Obama, Mr. President. Here's a fact that you don't hear on your networks, but we know. Many of the Iranian military factories and bases that we're systematically destroying were paid for by the pallets of American cash that Barack Obama flew into Tehran.
Notice you're not seeing a lot of that story about the Obama cash that went into the Iranian bank accounts. Why aren't you hearing anything about that? Because this is not an effort to tell you the story of what's going on in Iran. It's an effort to tell you a story so we lose. We lose the narrative war, not the tactical war. Why do you need them to lose the narrative war, them being the Trump administration? Because you got a midterm election coming up. You can't give Trump a victory, even over death to America. People know that death to America people have to win. Their message keeps flip-flopping. The left started the hidden knowledge grift. Most of you remember it as the Russia collusion hoax. I've got this hidden knowledge that Donald Trump is colluding with the Russians. Well, what is it? It's a dossier, but I can't show you. It's classified. Well, then we see it, and there was nothing really in there. And then all of a sudden, they're like, no, there's other like collusion. It was like a hack or something.
It's a data point.
Well, it's a data point. But they never actually produced the data point. Matter of fact, when you ask them about the infamous hack, the people are like, well, we can't really prove there was an exfiltration. What can you prove? Anything? That was the original hidden knowledge scam. They're doing the same thing with the Iranians now. They're playing hide the knowledge nugget, where they pretend to know one thing when they're in office, and then when they get out of office, they take the exact opposite position. I just showed you it with Kank from the Young Turds before. Hat tip Mays Moore. Here's a compilation. We did some jump cuts in it just to shorten it up a little bit. Thank you, Mays, for the material. Here is a compilation of Democrats, Jen Psaki and others, telling you what a threat the Iranian nuclear program was, now telling you it wasn't enough of a threat to actually do anything about it. Check this out.
Iran's nuclear program is galloping forward. It is enriching at higher levels. If they continue to enrich at the levels and in the ways they're doing, it will get down eventually to a few weeks. So that is a concrete problem. We have an interest in putting that nuclear problem back in the box.
Iran has rapidly accelerated its nuclear program. Their breakout period is down from about a year, which is what we knew it was during the deal, to just a few weeks or less.
Iran, the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, has directly or by hiring criminals mounted assassination attempts against dissidents and high-ranking current and former U.S. officials, including right here on American soil.
The president will not tolerate attacks on American troops. Our teammates were killed by radical militias backed by Iran.
Yes, it is true. Iran is closer to a nuclear weapon than ever before. If they chose to get a nuclear weapon, could probably get one within weeks.
Listen, when I opened up the show today, I told you with regards to the DHS funding for TSA that magically appeared last night as the Democrats had their, look at this, we have this come to Jesus moment, road to Damascus. What a conversion. I'm not telling you Republicans don't do this too. I'm telling you it's about on a scale. This is all the Democrats do is bullshit you and tell you a story. They told you a different story when they had a political interest and they thought they could look tough going against the death to Iranian mullahs. Death to America mullahs, When Donald Trump gets into office and kills them and obliterates the entire upper level hierarchy of the IRGC and elsewhere, the Democrats take the opposite position. You see the chaos? You see how they never, ever want you to believe in anything because then these charismatic figures can come out and pull you out of the messaging chaos and the fog and go, look, I've got the knowledge. Just stay tuned. I'll tell you tomorrow. And I think one more thing the MAGA crowd has grown really tired of. is international allies who are just fair weather friends. Listen, my last job and the job before that, I had pretty good relationships with foreign partners, but I'm going to tell you something you may not have heard. I'm going to tell you for a fact. When it comes to law enforcement, counterterror, counterespionage, I can't speak so much for the military, but a semi-informed opinion on that as well. About 80% of the lifting and the work is done by the United States. About 20% is reciprocal when you look at it in total. The fact that our allies, now that we've taken on the world's largest sponsor of terrorism, that has been holding basically the petrochemical business hostage through the Strait for decades now that we've done the hard work, we're asking our allies to come in and give us a little help here because this helps them too in this fractured oil market. And all of a sudden, a lot of them are just shitting the bed on us. Here's Rubio, who's been doing an amazing job, one of his 20 jobs as Secretary of State, besides the plane, going, hey, Europe, you guys going to chip in here or what? Like, are you leaving the dirty work for us again this time too? Check this out.
President Trump criticizing NATO this morning, that sentiment?
I think he just made an observation, and the observation is that the United States is constantly being asked to help in a war, and we have more than any other country in the world on a war that's happening in another continent, in Ukraine. But when the U.S. had a need, he didn't get proper positive responses. So right now he's just making the observation that, I think there was a couple of the leaders in Europe who said that this was not Europe's war. Well, Ukraine is not America's war, and yet we've contributed more to that fight than any other country in the world. So it'll be something to examine. The president will have to take into account down the road.
Why, listen, why do we always have to come to the rescue? No one's going to sit here and bullshit me. Like, I ran for office publicly against a lot of some of the Bush era military actions. I wasn't sure we had a good exit plan. I'm not telling you like I was trying to be General Patton about it or anything like that. I understand the limits of my own knowledge. But that's not this. That's not this. The Trump team has laid out a clear set of directives that either have been met or very close to being met. And then he's already stated, I should say, administration officials are now talking about this final blow. They clearly have some exit strategy for this. Can we just give it a couple weeks and see how it works out before we judge the ending of the book we haven't read yet? Here's Steve Witkoff, one of Trump's lead negotiators on this issue. By the way, for those people, again, claiming the Iranians were not an imminent threat, there was some fatwa against the nuclear program. He told Witkoff, these Iranian negotiators told Witkoff to go pound sand, that they were going to basically build their nuclear weapons. Is this guy a gatekeeper too? You think he's lying to President Trump? Like, everybody's lying to President Trump, but you have the hidden knowledge you'll never tell us. Here, check this out.
The Iranians have the inalienable right to enrich. Then we heard they possessed enough 60% enriched material, 460 kilograms, to make 11 atomic bombs. Finally, we heard the following statement. They would not give up diplomatically what we could not win militarily. In other words, they were again miscalculating the success of Midnight Hammer, which was a total success. These are incontrovertible signs among many other signs, sir, that their regime had not given their negotiating team authority to make a deal required by you.
Is he lying too? He's telling you what they told him. He has no reason to smoke you up about it at this point. Is this another gatekeeper? Folks, the chaos isn't working. We won the last election. Just give them a couple of more weeks. Let's figure out where this is going to go. Let's see the exit plan and strategy they're working on, and we can move on from there. Because we're dealing with this other side of the fence that is not kidding around. That is where I agree with a lot of these people, that if at the end of this 4 years, hopefully it turns into 8 and 12, we can get, JD or Rubio or someone in there. Hopefully we'll be able to right this ship and make it generational, but it's not going to happen overnight. But we are dealing with another side here that they're not kidding around. When they tell you who they are, just listen to them. And the reason they're so afraid, by the way, of Donald Trump is because Donald Trump lives in the real world and they live in the world of ideas, and they haven't found a way to crack that since basically Bill Clinton playing with the saxophone on the Arsenio Hall show. They haven't had that. Their candidates look out of touch. Donald Trump has this magic gift of saying things that are common sense to everyone listening that other politicians haven't thought to say before because they didn't have the balls. And he has this way of getting the left to overreact to every single thing he does. Cue up that Trump Somali fraud thing. So we've got a serious problem with broken third world countries, and many, but not all. You have migrants that come here legally and illegally, who come here, and there's a huge fraud problem. Everybody knows it's happening. And Donald Trump's take on this is how a lot of Americans feel. Maybe they don't agree with every single word and the language and the expression, but they're like, if you're going to come here, you should contribute. And of course, the left overreacts to this. And this is the tactical advantage he has of dealing in the real world, knowing how real world people speak. Check this out.
It's very Somalia oriented. Think of it. These people come from a crooked country, disgusting country, one of the worst countries in the world. Acknowledged to be one of the worst countries in the world. Some people say it's the worst. They have no money. They have nothing. They come to our country, low IQs, and they rob us blind. Stupid people. And they rob us blind because we have crooked politicians and we have dirty cops. The Attorney General's a dirty cop. It's my opinion. It's only my opinion. And something should be done about him.
Folks, they are going to have, whose favorite video is that? I missed the stamp. I turned it. Oh, that was Gee's. There are people, there are people out there watching this. The Democrats and the intelligentsia and the media class. Oh my God, he's a racist. One, you know that's bullshit, okay? That's just nonsense. There's no history of that at all. You're just making that up, so throw that in the garbage because it's just dumb liberal bullshit. However, I think what you don't understand, you think Donald Trump doesn't understand, what you don't understand is there are millions of people out there who are active voters who are nodding their heads in approval, saying, you know what, you're damn right. Nothing to do with the race of the people or their country of origin. Just don't come here from a place and steal from us and expect us to ignore the fact that a lot of people came from the same place. That's how networks sometimes work. Yes, there's a bit of a proximity bias in some of that stuff. This is why yesterday we played that video. Sorry to refer to yesterday's show if you missed it. However, noted leftist Jon Stewart, the late night host, Jon Stewart had a segment with Bernie Sanders, and we played it on yesterday's show. And Jon Stewart, who's, again, a pretty devoted leftist, was openly questioning the middleman government and how basically they can't solve any problems. And I thought that was strange, but now it's starting to make sense, folks. The left, as I said to you yesterday, and I'll repeat again, wants to move in a UBI direction, universal basic income, where basically the government's just a middleman. They don't manage programs anymore. The left just wants you to basically get a salary from other taxpayers to do nothing. Their excuse is AI. AI is going to put everybody out of work. So everyone's going to have to get, I don't know, $50,000 a year if you're below a certain income level. This is why they're making this argument now. Now, I want to tie this together for you. The Somali fraud case, where there have been numerous arrests, federal, been some state, the locals may be getting involved now. The exposing of that by that young man, Nick Shirley, and others like Cam Higbee, you saw out in Los Angeles, he's on Skid Row where they were registering people for money. This kind of citizen journalism, you're going to get 90% will be hits. Sometimes they're going to flake out. 10% maybe misses, but this citizen journalism is going to be exposing generational fraud basically on a daily basis moving forward, and the left knows it. They know there's only so many fraudulent, autism therapy centers and childcare centers they can set up before people knock on the door and ask for their kid to be treated with a hidden camera. They know that. So you're seeing, this is very important, this segment. Stop what you're doing. You're going to see this messaging going forward now, where big government leftists may start messaging about government inefficiency, not because they don't want to steal your money. They just want to steal it and give it directly to other people instead. because they know the government running it is going to result in endless citizen journalists knocking on doors going, hey, how many kids you got in this childcare? That Nick Shirley moment really, in my humble opinion, is going to change journalism going forward. A lot of citizen journalists have been doing this forever. There's a ton of people. We've had them on our show. That one, I think, really shook people, deep in the soul, because it was so fairly obvious that the Minnesota, there was almost no effort whatsoever to stop it. Now does the Jon Stewart thing make sense now? In case you doubt me, the importance of this Nick Shirley moment, I'm going to throw in a President Trump clip right here. When it makes it into the White House and a cabinet briefing, like it's kind of a big deal. Here's President Trump on Nick Shirley and more. Check this out.
I just saw something that the nursing home business and the daycare centers in particular, they went out and inspected them in Minnesota, and they didn't exist. They're knocking on the door. He happens to be a young man, Nick, nice young man. He's done a very good job. They're knocking on doors. It's like homes. And they're getting hundreds of thousands of that. They didn't exist. And in California, it's worse. It's even worse. And I spoke with Russell Vogt. I said, Russell, don't send them any money. He said, but we have a court order that we have to. Can you believe it? A judge. The judges are really hurting this country. Our judges, Justice Roberts doesn't like when I say it, but the judges are really hurting this country. And frankly, the justices, the Supreme Court, has really hurt our country too.
I want to leave the end part in too, because it ties in the beginning of the show about how we're different, the Republic, because we've instituted processes. Processes require a lot of nominations of judges, United States attorneys. This all takes time. However, we've chosen this route to avoid chaos. But when you see people like Nick Shirley, who gets mentioned in a cabinet briefing, do you know how big of a deal that is? Whether you like or dislike his journalism, I told you there's going to be some misses, there's going to be some hits. Even billion-dollar media companies once in a while get a story wrong. This is going to dismantle the myth that collectivism and big government benevolence are effective ideas in the world bucket of reality. They exist in the world of ideas. In reality, they completely fall apart. The government will never manage your money as well as you do, ever. You're going to see this moving forward. Folks, I live in this great state of Florida. I love it down here. I'll talk about this with Graham Allen a little bit. Liberals, please don't come down here. Really, we've had enough. Conservatives, welcome. Join us. Join the treehouse. But I'm not telling you Florida's above this too. We got a great governor. DeSantis is not a knock. They're doing a great job. We've got a great AG. We've got great candidates for governor. Byron Donalds. I love Byron. Florida's a great state. DeSantis done an amazing job. However, this fraud, healthcare fraud, taxpayer fraud schemes on the Medicare front, Medicaid front, DMEs, that's durable medical equipment, is rampant in Florida. Here's Dr. Oz down here in Florida proving the point that, folks, even in limited government states, whenever you introduce government into anything, you are always going to get error, fraud, scams. People who care for their own money always as a better custodian than the government will. Check this out.
Let me be blunt. What we're seeing in parts of South Florida isn't just suspicious, it's outrageous. The number of questionable durable medical equipment suppliers, folks that send you canes or wheelchairs, is exploded, especially here in Palm Beach and adjacent Miami-Dade County. In some neighborhoods, now listen carefully, there are twice as many suppliers as McDonald's. That's not a coincidence. That's a red flag. As it turns out, transnational criminal organizations are involved. So we acted. CMS put a nationwide freeze, it's called a moratorium, on enrolling new DME suppliers in Medicare. That's the insurer for older Americans. We're cutting off the pipeline. And Florida is not hesitating either. This week, the state stepped up with a plan to go on the offense, requesting its own moratorium for Medicaid. That's the program that safeguards our most vulnerable. They want to slow down durable medical equipment suppliers too. That's how you respond when the system is being gamed.
Folks, this is the third-party payer problem. The third-party payer is simple. You are a taxpayer, a citizen, right? Then you have a business you want to pay. Let's say you need a hip surgery. You're going to pay an orthopedic. If you pay the orthopedic directly, you care about the cost of the procedure because you're paying. You also care about the quality of said procedure because it's your freaking hip. The Milton Friedman issue with the 4 ways to spend money. The minute you introduce a third party who pays, i.e. the third party payer, sorry, but there are liberals here who are very slow, the government, and I don't pay the orthopedic surgeon, I pay taxes and the government pays. The government doesn't care about the quality of the procedure because it's not the government's hip, it's yours. And the government doesn't really care about the cost either as long as you vote for them because it's not their money either. They took it from you. Do you have that? For those who are new to the Dan Bongino show since our relaunch, we were gone for a year, obviously. This is probably the greatest explanation. I did not intend to throw this in the show, but Justin was like, hey, man, now's the time. This is Milton Friedman in about a minute and a half, explaining to you why the government anywhere getting involved in anything from Florida to San Francisco will always screw it up. Check this out, bookmark it.
Well, you can spend your own money on yourself. And when you spend your own money on yourself, you're very careful of what you spend it on, and you make sure that you get the most for your dollar. You can spend your own money on somebody else. You give gifts to other people. You take people out to dinner. And when you spend your own money on somebody else, you're very careful that you don't spend too much. You try to keep down the amount you spend, but you don't worry very much about what the other fellow's getting from it. You don't pay anything like as much attention to the gifts you buy for other people as to the things you buy for yourself. Or you can spend somebody else's money, as when you're spending the government's money. I say the government's money, the taxpayers' money, which the government has control of. Now you're spending somebody else's money. Let's say you're spending your boss's money. You're out to lunch on a expense account, but you're spending it on yourself. You're very careful that you get good things for your money. You try to have a good lunch and pick the right things, but you're not very much worried about whether you get the cheapest.
Spend all you want.
Spend all you want. You'll be careless. Now, what happens when you spend somebody else's money on somebody else? You're a distributor of welfare funds. Well, you're interested in making your own life as good as you can. And most people have humane instincts and want to do the best they can, but you're not going to be anything like as careful in spending somebody else's money on somebody else.
That is the best 2 minutes of your life. That is an entire PhD economics course in 2 minutes. And it's not my words, it's the great Milton Friedman. That's always going to be the problem with government. And you're going to see going forward with these citizen journalists, you are going to see exposure, devastating exposure on a mass scale of every single grift out there. We just opened the show talking about the hidden knowledge grift. This is just straight up financial grift off the taxpayers. Folks, I promise you, there are not enough federal investigators between Secret Service, DEA, IRS, FBI. There are not enough to crack down the likely hundreds of billions, if not trillions over decades in fraud. There's just not enough. We have got to intercept it at the head. There's no other way. What I'm telling you, to kind of put a cherry on top of this, is we have a really unique moment here. The Democrats are going to get exposed over the next 5 to 10 years for their, and weak-kneed Republicans, for their NGO funding, their child care center funding, everything. The fraud is going to be so massive, it's going to be a difficult time for the Democrats going forward on the messaging front. Because there's a financial motive, too, for citizen journalists to go out there. That's their job. That's what they do, to find this fraud. That's what they do if they expose fraud. It's not going to stop. We have a unique opportunity coming up to pile on that message and make sure that it resonates with them. Just don't let them transition to a UBI. They want to make the case government sucks and it's all on video? Okay, sure. We'll magnify it too. We can play this game too. All right, I got Graham Allen coming up. You're going to love Graham. It's fantastic. Graham Allen show on Rumble. Check him out. He always raids our show right after his show. I think he starts at 9 a.m. Eastern time, but we'll talk about a lot of things. I wanted to give you a little bit of Friday good feels as well before I wrap up my portion of the show by myself. So as always, our good friend, producer Jim, likes everyone to enter into the weekend in a peaceful Zen-like moment. So he selects the finest, most relaxing audio he can find out there from our friends on the left. So for those of you looking forward to your Friday Democrat Zen moment, courtesy of producer Jim, here it is.
Your Democrat Zen moment of the day. A peaceful moment to center your mind.
Look, you fat fuck Trump, if you listen to this, you listen good. You're right. I got Trump derangement syndrome. I hate the motherfucker. And you know what? I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to get better. I want to get worse. I want to hate him more. I pray to God in heaven, God reign the righteous reign of Trump derangement syndrome.
This has been Democrat Zen.
That's he doesn't tell me what they are. I'm as surprised as you are about this stuff. He doesn't tell me what they are. I'm sure your blood pressure's dropped a few points now. Again, it's like beta blockers there. But no, listen, I hate when people say on a serious note, because it makes it seem like we were unserious, even when we're serious, being unserious. But on a serious note, you know, you like that? The Muttley's in the chat there. Oh, Carville, man. I think he later went on him and kind of regretted that a little bit. I'm not really sure. Who knows? He called him Raging Cajun for a reason. But I was sitting there this morning and going through some stuff. I had I get up pretty early, so it's still dark out. And I got this light, really bright light, can get you going in more. I'm scrolling through. And I really like motivational people who can speak. The ability to be a vehicle through your words for a greater cause is really amazing. So what's the church this guy's from? Is it Pastor Phil? 2819 Church. I don't know them at all. I can't vouch or not vouch for them. All I know is this popped up. I listen to a lot of Christian contemporary music on Instagram. Jasmine got me into it. So I get a lot of preachers and things like that. But I saw this morning, and this is absolutely true. Here's kind of a nugget of wisdom here. Check this out.
Sometimes God will engineer transitions in your life, albeit painful, sometimes to push you down roads you otherwise would not chosen for yourself. And because he is the author and finisher of your story, sometimes he knows you will not move, and so you need a push. And so sometimes he might close a door to give you that push. Sometimes you might go through rejection to get that push. Sometimes has to crumble around your life to get that push. Sometimes he'll take something out of your life to give you that push. Sometimes the Lord is watching you, knowing that you need to take this next step of faith.
Man, I saw it this morning. I'm like, hey, man, you just nailed it. You know, sometimes just harking back to the beginning of the show, we go through these things and we're like, gosh, I wish we didn't have to fight this fight. Now, I wish too, but an easy life is not going to be a fulfilling one. I'm not your preacher. I couldn't do it nearly as well as that gentleman. And I certainly don't pretend to be some kind of moral staple you all should be guiding yourself off. I'm just a guy like everyone else. But I can tell you, everything I've learned in my life, I've learned from falling on my face and getting the hell up. This idea that God puts obstacles there for a reason falls right in with the burnt toast theory. The toast gets burned, fire alarm goes off. You're late for your flight. You miss your flight. You're like, I can't believe this. I'm going to miss this job opportunity I was flying to. And then the plane crashes. We don't have the capability. It's like trying to teach a dog physics. As I say all the time, we can't possibly understand, like a dog can't understand chemistry or physics. We can't understand why God does what he does and why these obstacles appear. But just think of burnt toast. There may be a reason you just don't understand. But you'll see when you get to the end of the book. That was some great stuff right there. All right, quick break, and then we'll get to my good friend, Graham Allen. He's a great guy. Support him and his show. Hey, when I moved to D.C., one of the first things I asked to have with me was my red light therapy blanket from Bone Charge. That is a fact. I threw that thing in the elevator the first day we got there. I'm a big biohacker. Red light therapy is my go-to. I was talking about that article the other day in Nature. I encourage you to read about how red light therapy works. If you have questions, look it up. Bone Charge is a global leader in premium wellness innovation grounded in science and driven by purpose. They've created solutions that fit easily into any lifestyle, which is why I use their products. Paula uses their products. It's Boncharge. Paula loves her red light therapy mask. That's why she looks like she's 21 years old. She uses it for about 15 minutes every day. The red light face mask is lightweight, portable, and contours perfectly to your face. Plus, it's suitable for all skin types and can support a more youthful complexion, smoother skin texture, and more. That's why she loves it. Uses it every night. A nice benefit, too, at night. Helps me go to sleep at least. Love it. Really does. Knocks me right out. If you're ready to feel better, go to bonecharge.com and use code Bongino to save 15% on your red light face mask. Again, that's Boncharge, bonecharge.com. Use code Bongino to save 15% on your red light face mask. Check it out. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA. The products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. Happy to welcome back to the show my good friend and a just amazing host in his own right, my good friend Graham Allen. You can check him out every day on Rumble. He's got the Graham Allen Show, so check that out. Graham, welcome back to the show. Let's get right to it. So, you know, our best friends, and I say that dripping with sarcasm, the Democrats got absolutely smoked and torched and wrecked again last night on the DHS funding. Said they were holding out because they wanted open borders, basically. Got absolutely no reforms. President Trump comes in, saves the day, says we're paying them. This is an emergency. The Democrats didn't fold because they gave a shit about you standing in line. They folded because they knew they were going to suffer a political loss, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. I tell people this all the time. Everybody's like, oh, Graham, you get so emotional. Why don't you just deliver the facts as it is? Okay, well, here's the facts. Democrats hate you. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They don't care about your lives. You are pawns in the chess 4D devil match that they're playing in DC every single day. The president showed the cards of the Democrats by saying, you know what? Screw this. I'm over it. I'm signing this executive order. We're going to pay these guys no more of this nonsense. And then magically, all of a sudden, somehow we're able to figure out how to get it passed, a bill to fund DHS. Ironically, around the same time that now Secretary Mullen is in there as well. This is Trump winning over and over and over again. And pay attention, folks. Pay attention, because Donald Trump's not going to be here for forever. One day you will realize what we had. And right now there's a lot of people taking it for granted. There's a lot of people taking advantage. There's a lot of people taking shots at the president, but they don't give enough credit for the 8D chess match king that he is. Donald Trump knew this is either going to work in the reward of me, again, solving the problem, or it's going to force the Democrats to do what they were supposed to do for the American people in the first place. I think he killed two birds with one stone. Not only did he save the day and force the Democrats to actually fund DHS, he proved that it had nothing to do about any righteousness or anything for the betterment of the people. It proved it was nothing more than to use the American people to try and hurt Donald Trump.
You know, Graham, I was going to ask you this question. It was like my third or fourth question, but I think it fits in perfectly now. You kind of teed it up for me. I painted this picture yesterday, the contrast between the modern Democrat movement and what we call now the MAGA movement, this faction of the Republican Party now. The MAGA movement is a relatively new phenomenon. The working class, dirt under the fingernails Republican. Those were traditionally, not all, of course, but traditionally Democrat votes when you think of the union vote and things like that. Donald Trump came in, ironically, a New York billionaire, very successful guy, and basically steals that vote away from the Democrat. But it's because Donald Trump is a builder in New York. I brought this up yesterday. Although, yes, he has quite a few more dollars than you and I combined, like a lot more. However, a little bit,
yeah.
just a little bit. Donald Trump has had to deal with, unions, New York City corrupt bureaucrats, various mayors in New York, the mob in New York. I mean, building in New York is a nightmare. If he did not understand that real world of union workmanship and craftsmanship and how these people worked and their motivations, he would have been lost. And that's the skill I think he took to the White House and why he keeps proving, as you just said, the experts wrong.
Yeah, well, the Donald Trump, somehow being the billionaire that he is a man's man. Like, he understands the everyday normal American. And somewhere along the way, if you go back to the founding documents that we have of what is required for people to run for office, what is required for people to be a president, vice president, congressman or woman, a senator, governor, all of this, it's actually not that many things. We, the American people and or the bureaucrats and the lifelong swamp creatures in DC, have created this mythical illusion of what you have to be, what you have to look like, the degrees you have to have, the connections you have to have. Oh, you had to serve in the state house or the state senate and then get corrupted by the state GOPs before you can come up here, because we want to make sure you're part of the team before we allow you to take this next step. When in reality, we need people like electricians. We need people like plumbers. We need people like that work 12-hour swing shifts that actually know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, to where they don't play these political nightmare games at the expense of the American people that you just saw the Democrats did with DHS and TSA. We have to shatter this illusion that we have created amongst ourselves, that we, the everyday American people, have allowed the powers that be in DC to put out before us. And we have to shatter that glass ceiling. No one understands that more than, ironically, the multi-billionaire from New York, which is President Trump.
You know, us as a movement, you and I have been fighting this relentless battle against the hidden knowledge class. You know, we have to be a movement bedrocked in process and objective truth. That's what the Republic, that's what made us different. This is not the Star Chamber. This is not the Salem witch trials. Big, fantastic claims require big, fantastic evidence, or else you have Tower of Babel chaos and nothing means anything anymore. I'm really worried about that.
So am I, Dan. Me and you have had conversations offline about this. What you're seeing is us, the podcast class. I call it now the fake podcasting news network that we have going on. You're seeing that a lot of them were actually leftist in MAGA clothing and real American clothing for a long time. But now you're seeing the same tactics that the left has used for decades. You're seeing that now on the other side. People just want to ask questions. And this is the thing that I keep going back to. I've got no problems with people asking questions. Ask as many questions as you want. But if you are only asking questions for the purpose of causing more questions without asking questions for the purpose of finding answers to those questions, because answers equal solutions that equal missions that you can go out and achieve an objective, then all you're doing is causing division, chaos, potentially violence. And this seems to be the most clickable thing, which the most clickable thing becomes the most viewable thing, and the most viewable thing becomes the most financially beneficial thing. So now we have people that are no longer interested in fighting for truth and facts. We have people that are interested in fighting for eyeballs. What used to be the case, Dan, you know this, you've been around, you are the leader of this. If you tell the truth and you have the steady hand when the fog of war, of the political war or information war, when the fog of war is thick, if you have the steady hand and you stand for truth, eventually the people will come. Now you're seeing people say, you know what brings the most people right now? Confusion, what ifs, maybe ors, and that seems to be what we're fighting against. And there's a lot of people, I've seen it at CPAC, I've seen all these other people talk. There are people on our side that disagree with me and you, Dan. They disagree that we should completely starve the grift of these people and just completely ignore it. I don't believe that. I think that they are the fake news now. And just like the past 10 years, we've been fighting against the fake news and fighting for knocking on doors, the 10, 10, 10. That's the same thing we have to do now. We have to fight a multifaceted war on the information space because the American people are paying attention to this stuff. And if the American people are paying attention to it, that means they're going to vote a certain way and it's going to be influenced by these people, and we have to fight it.
Yeah, we do. And I don't, really care for that opinion there that, we should just let this insane, self-destructive cancer in our party run free and destroy the whole host in the hopes that maybe we preserve one midterm election, but destroy the party permanently in the mid and long-term horizon is just insanity. And nobody tells me what to talk about ever on my show. So I don't give a damn what anyone says there, really, at all. I think we've proven that over 10 years. And you're right, though. You will always find a steady audience army out there. It's going to be behind you no matter what, as long as they don't feel like you're bullshitting them. There's a sugar high in that, no doubt. And I played some of it in the beginning of the show, the hidden knowledge grift. Tomorrow's show, tune in. Eventually, it's like Apollo Creed says to Rocky, there is no tomorrow. Eventually, you got to produce some data. And I think you haven't been in the military, me haven't been in law enforcement. We didn't live in that world of secret hidden knowledge because you had to go to a courtroom and swear under the penalty of perjury that what you were stating was your best attempt at the truth. You didn't get to go, hey, judge, I'll tell you tomorrow. There is no tomorrow, Rock. There is.
Just show back up tomorrow, camera crews. I'll tell you what really happened. Yeah, no.
Right. Imagine you like being sent out with a unit on some, if you were in the Marines, like with some 5-paragraph order, you had to go out there and accomplish this mission, and you come back on paragraph 3 and be like, we'll get to the rest tomorrow. Like it just doesn't work that way, No. So that they have that luxury, we don't. So I saw an article this morning on an aggregator site about migrating Democrats. In other words, a bunch of disgruntled Democrats, Graham, leaving liberal states where the liberal state governance model always fails and coming down to states like Florida, where you are in South Carolina. I am in Florida. I don't know how to say this. I'm a believer in freedom. Do your thing. I can't stop you, nor would I want to put an obstacle in front of you. I'm just saying, don't come down to your liberals. We don't want you in Florida. You don't want them in South Carolina. You already screwed up your own state.
Well, I don't know. I mean, and again, maybe this will get a bit controversial here. I'm the same way. It's just like if you move to another state, in most states, you have to have lived in that state for a certain amount of time before you can run for office. Maybe we should put like the same stipulations on if you should be able to vote immediately for that state. Now,
a 10-year prohibition.
Yeah. No, I don't want to take away anybody's right to vote. You can do an absentee ballot for the state.
Media matters.
From.
He's kidding. You freaking canoes. However, it is still funny. Clip, it is still funny though. The idea. I'll bet there are a lot of people at home going, doing this laugh. And all of a sudden they're like, man, that's not a bad, like maybe you have to digest the system for 10 years, learn to respect how successful conservative governance is in South Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida. And then we'll give you another shot.
Figure out why this is working. And then you can vote to like keep it that way. Right. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Don't bring your New York voting standards because the only reason you're leaving is because you've either A, continued to vote for it, or B, you were complicit in it, or C, you were outnumbered. And those are the ones that we actually want to come here. The ones that were been outnumbered and they're actually red and they're conservative and they love the Lord, all that. Sure, I welcome them with open arms.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, those are the ones, they don't have the money to just pick up and move. So the people that can just pick up and move are the ones that we don't want here in the first place.
It's interesting. I tell people this a lot. They say, Dan, you talk about Florida in such glowing terms, and people say, stop doing it. I'm not kidding. It happens all the time. It happened in a sandwich joint I was in about a year ago, and the lady was like, hey, I love your show, but please stop telling people to move here. I said, I've said the opposite. I've told conservatives to move here. But in my particular area, which was 50-50, I mean, almost exactly 50-50, it's gotten more Republican over time. And when you go into these communities, it's all retired New York cops and firemen who are very conservative. So it does work in the other direction too. And the truth is migration to Florida has increased. It's gotten more Republican. So I don't want people to panic too much. But I did read that article that they're threatening to come down. And we're like, please no. Liberals, nobody wants you around. Liberals don't even want to be around other freaking liberals. They're leaving New York. You have the opportunity to mingle with your liberal bow tie wearing buddies, smoking your cigars and eating your high-end caviar, and you don't want it. You want to come down here with us, the working class, and hang out with the good, smart people, have a good time on a Friday night. Here's the catch. We don't want you either. Graham, last question for you. Obviously, you having done a couple of stints with the military and back on this side when you came back from your Department of War experience there. By any objective measure, this has been an unbelievably successful early stage conflict. No, by any measure, we're less than 2 months in. Whether it's the destruction of the Iranian Navy, the destruction of ballistic missile capabilities, drone factories. However, there's a political war going on. There's one side I addressed earlier in the show that definitely wants us to lose. I think this is where, Secretary Hegseth and Donald Trump staying out ahead of it and doing, bi-weekly pressers and things like that will really help in breaking through and getting the message out there.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've said it a million times, not only President Trump is the greatest president of our generation, but I think Pete Hegseth was an amazing choice for Secretary of Defense. I said this last time, he was a generational choice for Secretary of War. It is amazing to me how many people, especially veterans, have all of a sudden lost the understanding of what an actual war is versus conflict via strategic strikes and all of this. If Joe Kent would have waited a week, peace talks are having right now. And so I don't understand what all happened there, all the stuff that's coming out about that. Your military record, I will never touch it, but what you do now doesn't mean that you can't be an idiot politically and or reading the tea leaves how it is now, but I digress. I don't want to go into all that again on this show. This has been a success in every measure, just like every other military action that President has done, by the way. You've got these. Now, again, do I understand the Lindsey Graham thing? No. No one dislikes Lindsey Graham here in the state of South Carolina more than I do. In fact, when I ran for Congress, they said, how do you feel about removing your name and just putting Allen on there? Because Graham is such a bad thing in the state of South Carolina. So I don't get that either. But what I do know is this: the president has no intentions on anything except what is best for the American people. And sometimes, to be truly America first, you can't be America first without American dominance. The rest of the world has to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the United States of America will not be messed with. When the president of the United States speaks, everybody else needs to listen. And it should fill Americans with pride that we have a president and a Secretary of War that is putting the best interests of America for the long term, for your children, for your children's children, ahead of just putting a bandage on it and paying Iran money and saying, please don't cause us any problems so we don't get people upset with us in the polls. This is what real leadership looks like. And we have to push out the doomers and the woke podcasters that we have, Alex Jones and all these other people. This is World War VII at this point where we're at. I mean, the apocalypse has happened 4 times and I'm sick of it. Shut up. Let the president do his job because we elected him to make these decisions at such a time as this, not us, the podcasters. We all fought for this man to make these otherworldly decisions with the whole world's weight on his shoulders at this moment, and nobody's better than President Trump.
You're right. These guys are like Nostradamus. They've accurately predicted 37 out of the last 2 world wars. It's incredible.
Yes,
they've done it. That's quite a track record, folks. Make sure you check out Graham's show. He's always nice enough to rate us. Graham Allen Show on Rumble. You can always go to rumble.com. Just put it in the search bar. Comes up right now. What is it? Dear America with Graham Allen. Check him out.
Hey guys, welcome. Thank you for watching with me today. See you on Monday. Happy weekend.